Video games have come a long, long way since I was a kid. So much so that a curriculum is now offered in college. And in the 2 years I've been hosting this show, I have never had anyone on to talk about video games, much less as a sport. But that changes today. Joining me now is a pioneer in competitive gaming and the new esports head coach at Caldwell University, Joe Gallant. Joe, welcome to the show and thanks for taking the time today.
Of course. I appreciate you having me.
I'm looking forward to this. So this generation of gamers is much different than when I grew up. We were told to put the controller down back then, but now kids are encouraged to pick it up. When did this esports craze first start and how did it find its way into the college curriculum?
Yeah, it's a great question. At least for me, esports goes back to, I would say, the early 2000s with titles like Halo and Call of Duty. I'm sure it goes back further than that, but that's when I really got started with it. And yeah, lots of mom yelling at me to get off the game at 3 a.m. But was able to kind of reach the highest levels of Halo and Call of Duty at the time, and make some money, travel, and then I kind of found myself working in the industry and becoming a professional in the industry. If that makes sense.
Well, can you expound on that a little bit and
Sure.
talk about your background as a gamer?
Yeah, so I started out in 2000, around 2005, competing for an organization called Major League Gaming, and so my game was Halo 2 and Halo 3, and so I practiced a lot, competed locally here in New Jersey, and then attended some national tournaments between 2005 and 2008 range. I was kind of on that borderline of professional player and semi-professional player, and then decided in 2008 to try my hand on the operation side of the industry, and I became a I started out as a tournament admin, and then kind of worked my way up and started directing tournaments over the years, and really traveled the world with Major League Gaming from kind of in that 2010s, and stayed with the industry till today.
So mom yelled at you all those years ago, but it literally paid off. I love to hear it. So now I know you're a Jersey lifer through and through. How did you end up getting this job at Caldwell University?
Yeah, it's a great question. So like I said, my most recent gig was I was the head of league operations for the NBA's official gaming league, which was called the NBA 2K League. And so I had been doing that for a while. An opportunity, I saw an opportunity pop up at Caldwell. I had been pretty familiar with the program, and just wanting to kind of get some experience on the collegiate side of the industry. I feel like it's a booming side of esports, and Caldwell is just investing. They're investing a lot of energy and financial resources into their program. And so that was, I looked at that and I thought that was interesting. And so when I saw an opportunity pop up to become their head coach and kind of help steer the program, I jumped at it, and it was a good fit for both sides.
It's great to hear. Now, esports is still new, if not foreign to a lot of people. How does gaming operate as a college sport in terms of format, number of players, number of competitions? Tell me about that.
Sure. I would say it's similar to traditional sports in a sense. You have teams, you have coaches, you have structured practices and competitions. And then it kind of depends on the video game. It depends on the title. So some of the titles we play are Overwatch 2, for instance, which is 5 versus 5, and then Rocket League, which is actually 3 versus 3. And then some games are actually 1 versus 1, like a fighting game like Tekken or NBA 2K. And so we scrimmage, we review gameplay, and then we compete in collegiate leagues that run regular seasons and playoffs. And the competition is really structured on site and remote. I think the beauty of esports is you can kind of compete from anywhere, from your home, from your couch, from our state of the art esports arena and facility that we have on campus. And then if you do well enough, you get invited to some of their LAN events where you would compete in person. If that makes sense.
That's the thing. You could do it from anywhere, unlike other sports.
Yeah.
Now, Caldwell University's esports program claims to foster academic growth and innovation. What does the program offer other than just the playing aspect? How does it benefit students?
Yeah, no, I would say it prides itself on career development for sure. So students are going to get a hands-on experience with with a number of areas of esports. So that's like broadcast production, event management, marketing, and then I would say, because we're basically running our own Twitch stream and our own content, creating content around the games we're playing. So I think that gives students a real hands-on experience of like managing all aspects that go into an esports league or an esports team. And then I would say from the competitive side, esports competition, and I think competition really at all levels teaches teamwork, communication, leadership. I would say skills that translate to any career path.
Now, what makes a good gamer? If somebody wants to go to college on a gaming scholarship, how do you practice for something like this? Is it just hours with the controller?
Yeah, no, I'd say that's a huge part of it. Is really like getting good at your title and kind of your genre of games. There's so many different types of games you can play, and then I would say it's a little bit more than just being good. I think um, you know, you have to work well with your teammates. You have to be a good teammate. You have to have we say good comms. Like you have to be able to communicate well and not get too not to get too angry or too upset with your teammates if they're not kind of performing up to your standards. So it's a little bit of like, can you work within a structured environment? Can you review? Do you have the patience to review film and really understand where you might be, where you might need more practice or a different strategy on a certain map, for instance. And then I would say like the mental and physical, matters. So like, getting enough exercise, time management, making sure you're great. We're looking for great students as well, like academically. So making sure that you're performing well outside of the game as well.
That's a really, really good answer. Joe Gallant, head coach of esports at Caldwell University. Thanks so much for teaching me something today, and thanks so much for taking the time today. Best of luck this year.
Of course. Thank you for having me.